They laughed when she walked past them, not loudly at first, but loud enough for her to hear. They laughed at the scars that crossed her arms and neck, pale lines that told stories she never shared. What they did not know was that those scars were the reason the room would fall silent before the day was over. Her name was Lena Kowalczyk, and she stood alone in the outer yard of the military base, a place where respect was earned through rank or reputation. She had neither, at least not on paper. To them, she was just another junior soldier, thin, quiet, and marked by injuries that looked out of place on someone so young. This base trained some of the toughest troops in the region, and arrogance flowed as freely as discipline. New faces were tested the moment they arrived. Lena felt the weight of those eyes on her as she adjusted the strap of her pack and kept her gaze forward. She had learned long ago that meeting mockery with silence was safer than meeting it with anger. She had joined the military for reasons she never explained. Not for glory, not for applause. She joined because there were things inside her that refused to stay buried. Training had given her order. Pain had given her clarity. Scars had given her memory. The soldiers who mocked her did not see memory. They saw weakness. One of them, tall and broad-shouldered, shook his head as she passed. "Looks like she lost a fight with a fire," he said. Another added. "Or maybe she could not keep up." They laughed again. Lena kept walking. Her assignment that day was simple. Report to the logistics hall. Assist where needed. Stay invisible. She followed orders the way she always did, without complaint and without explanation. But something was different in the air. Word had spread that visiting veterans were expected. High level, decorated. The kind of men whose names were spoken carefully. 3 GROM veterans were scheduled to arrive for an inspection and a closed briefing. Legends to some, ghosts to others. Their presence alone made officers straighten their backs and soldiers watch their mouths. Lena knew the name GROM. She knew it well. She also knew what people assumed when they heard it. They assumed invincibility. They assumed cold precision. They assumed men docked by midday. The base felt tense. Soldiers gathered near the main corridor, pretending to be busy while waiting for a glimpse of the veterans. Lena stood near a supply table, checking inventory forms. Her sleeves were rolled down, but the scars still showed at her wrists and collar. The mocking did not stop. It grew bolder as the hours passed. One soldier stepped closer than he should have. "You know, those marks make people uncomfortable," he said. "You might want to cover them better." She looked at him then, her eyes steady, her voice calm. "They are covered enough." He smirked and walked away. Inside her, something old stirred. Not anger, not fear, recognition, the feeling that comes before a storm breaks. The veterans arrived without ceremony. No grand announcement. No dramatic entrance. 3 men in simple uniforms walked through the corridor, their movements controlled, their expressions unreadable. Conversations faded as they passed. Even laughter seemed to retreat. Lena did not look up at first. She finished writing a number on the form, then felt it. A shift. The kind that made her lift her head without thinking. One of the veterans had stopped. He was older, his hair touched with gray, his posture relaxed in a way only experience allowed. His eyes were on her arms. Not with judgment. With focus. He took a step closer. The room waited. "Those scars," he said quietly. "Where did you get them?" Every soldier nearby leaned in, eager for embarrassment. Lena met his gaze. "Training and operations," she replied. The veteran studied her face, then her hands. His expression changed. The other 2 veterans turned their attention to her as well. One of them frowned slightly, as if seeing something familiar. "You were not supposed to survive that extraction," the first veteran said. Silence fell hard. Lena did not react. She simply nodded. The second veteran stepped closer. His voice was low, edged with disbelief. "Raven Pass, Northern Ridge. Fire and collapse." Her answer was immediate. 3rd wave. Night insertion. We lost 2 before the climb. The men around them froze. The mocking soldiers stared, their smiles gone. The third veteran exhaled slowly. She was there. The first veteran straightened and did something no one expected. He stood at attention. The other 2 followed. Every eye in the corridor widened. "Operative Kowalczyk," he said, his voice carrying through the space. "We thought you were gone." Lena finally allowed herself to breathe. "I was reassigned," she said. The soldiers who had mocked her looked at one another, confusion turning to unease. They had trained their whole lives for approval like this. They had laughed at someone who had already earned it. The first veteran turned to the nearby officers. "Do you know who this is?" No one answered. This soldier was attached to our unit during a classified operation. She carried wounded men out under fire. She held a position alone when the rest of us were pinned. Those scars are not accidents. They are proof. The corridor was so quiet that even breathing felt loud. One of the mocking soldiers tried to speak, then stopped. Lena remained still. She did not smile. She did not look away. She had never needed recognition to survive. But she understood its power. The second veteran looked at her with something close to respect. "Why are you here, at this rank?" She answered honestly. "Because the mission ended." The work did not. The first veteran nodded slowly. "You chose silence." "I chose service," she replied. The veterans turned as one and continued down the corridor. As they passed her, the first placed a hand over his heart, just for a moment. A gesture no one else seemed to notice, but Lena did. When they were gone, the base felt different. The air lighter. The mocking soldiers stood apart, unsure where to look. The tall one who had laughed earlier swallowed hard. "I did not know," he said quietly. Lena gathered her papers. "You were not supposed to," she said. She walked away, her step steady, her posture unchanged. Behind her, conversations did not resume right away. Respect had arrived without shouting. Truth had spoken without force. By the end of the day, no one laughed when she passed. No one commented on her scars. Some nodded. Some stepped aside. A few watched her with new understanding. Lena did not seek revenge. She did not correct anyone. She returned to her duties the same way she always had. Scars tell stories, but only to those willing to listen. Strength often walks quietly, and the most dangerous people in the room rarely announce themselves. That day, a young soldier learned that silence can be louder than mockery. And a base learned that courage does not always look the way they expect. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.